Welcome to Real Paranormal Activity, the network. Entertainment you'll enjoy.
You are listening to an RPA production, where people gather. LaFosse Corporation, LLC.
Hello, my Mysterians. This is Terry from Texas with another episode of Terry's Mysterious Moments. You know, in the paranormal world, there are many aspects, many different things to talk about. There are cryptids, unknown creatures. There are ghosts. There are UFOs, aliens, all kinds of things. Time slips. I did that last week or a week before last, whenever it was. And there are some things in the paranormal world that I can't accept. And I understand people's reticence at accepting what I believe in. Like I believe in ghosts because I've seen them. But there are some things that I just can't outright accept. And one of those things is the phenomenon known as black-eyed kids. Now, I haven't heard a BEK story for a very long time, which makes me wonder, have people just run the story out to its natural conclusion, or are we just not hearing about it, or what's going on? Because I remember when they first showed up on the timeline and everybody had a black-eyed kid story to tell. And if it didn't happen to them, it at least happened to a friend of a friend. Well, unfortunately, in the folklore business, a friend of a friend story doesn't carry much weight. No matter who told it, where it came from, people just kind of shrug their shoulders on FOF stories. Anyway, if you don't know, black-eyed children or black-eyed kids, BEKs, in American contemporary legend are paranormal creatures that resemble children and teenagers with pale skin and black eyes who are reportedly seen hitchhiking or begging or are encountered on doorsteps of residential homes. Usually they knock on the door, ring the doorbell at a home, and they want to come in to use the phone, or because it's cold outside, or because it's rainy outside, or I would assume even if it's hot outside. But they want to get in, and the usual story goes that if the kids, or adults in some cases, get in the house, then they can do psychological damage, if not real physical damage, to the people inside the home. So the best idea here is to not let them in. Well, that goes for anybody that you don't know that comes knocking on your door or ringing your doorbell. It's just good common sense. Well, while tabloid coverage of these creatures has claimed that tales of black-eyed children have existed since the early 1980s, most sources indicate that the legend originated from 1996 postings written by Texas reporter Brian Bethel on a ghost-related mailing list. That was early days of the internet, where most things were done on bulletin boards, which were local places where you could read messages, leave messages, look up stuff through portals. And it was just, subpar internet. Well, this reporter related a story that he was sitting in a parking lot in Abilene, Texas in 1996 while I think he said he was waiting for his kids to come out of a movie or had just finished a movie, and he was going to drop off a payment for one of his utilities in the area. So he's sitting in his vehicle, writing out the check, and these two young kids came up, tapped on his window. Well, he didn't roll the window all the way down. He just lowered it enough to hear what they were saying. And they were asking for him to give them a ride to their house so they could get money to come back and see the movie. Which is a really odd request. Take us home so we can get money and come back. And he refused, and they kept asking and kept trying to talk their way into his car. And he said he felt like if they got in his car, that would be it for him. So they left him alone. He left. Well, then apparently another story came out of Portland, Oregon, and was very similar to his encounter. Now, his stories have become regarded as classic examples of what is called creepypasta. Slender Man is a creepypasta story. It's something that someone made up as a scary story, but it's grown legs and is able to hang on for a long time because people keep talking about it. His stories gained such popularity that he published an FAQ, a fact, frequently asked questions list, just to keep up with demand for more info about the new urban legend. Now, remember those words, urban legend. In 2012, Bethel told his story on reality TV series Monsters and Mysteries in America. He wrote a follow-up article for the Abilene Reporter News describing his experience and maintaining his belief that it was legitimate. Things like this get popular. People say, hey, that'd make a good story for a film. They don't really have to have much solidity to the story in order to make a scary movie. In 2012, the horror film Black Eyed Kids was produced with Kickstarter funding. Its director commenting that the creepy children were, quote, and this is his speaking, an urban legend that's been floating around on the internet for years now. I always thought it was fascinating, unquote. A 2013 episode of MSN's Weekly Strange that featured reports of black-eyed children is thought to have helped spread the legend on the internet. Now, anytime someone other than just someone on the internet picks up a story and says, hey, this is an interesting story, let's do an article on it. Whether it's in print or on TV or radio, people are going to listen more to it. And they may think more of the story. So that's what's been happening. Now, during 1 week in September 2014, the tabloid, and I'm assuming it's out of England, the Daily Star, ran 3 sensationalistic front-page stories about alleged sightings of black-eyed children connected to the sale of a supposedly haunted pub in Staffordshire, and I'm assuming this is in England, like I said. The paper claimed a, quote, shock rise in sightings around the world, unquote. Alleged sightings are taken seriously by ghost hunters. Not saying that ghost hunters are the most gullible people in the world, but they're seeming to be fairly gullible. And some of these ghost hunters believe black-eyed children are either extraterrestrials, vampires, or ghosts. Makes sense. Qualities of each. We'll run with that. A science writer by the name of Sharon Hill was unable. She could not find any documentation of black-eyed children encounters, concluding that the tales are passed on as, and I said it earlier, and this is quoting, friend of a friend, unquote, ghost stories. Hill considers the legend to resemble, quoting, typical spooky folklore stories, unquote, such as the phantom black dog, where the subject is not supernatural and there may never have been an actual original encounter. The site Snopes rates tales of black-eyed children as a legend and cites an Inquisitor article. Now, I've never heard of those guys, but I'm assuming they're on the internet or in print. An Inquisitor article that advised readers to, again, quote, file black-eyed children under the same heading as Bigfoot. Believe it if you like, but realize there is no evidence of their existence, just subjective testimony that ranges from reasonable to suspiciously fame-whoring, unquote. Okay, now they passed over a line when they said Bigfoot might be fake. I'm going to argue with them on that point. I think Bigfoot exists because there seem to be more solid leads over a couple of 100 years in different places to say that these things exist, rather than these poor little skinny, waif-looking, black-eyed kids who are trying to work on your last nerve of decency and get into your car or your house to do whatever. Anyway, personally, this is my opinion, and I'm not trying to sway anybody. I don't believe in black-eyed kids. I think it was something this guy made up as a writer, and he ran with it, and now it's grown legs, and there's just no way to back out of the story and stop it. So, again, that's my opinion. You may have a different one. That's okay. That's what this world is about. We have our own beliefs. If we all believe the same way, we probably wouldn't be human, and we would be a lot of zombie type people. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about something that I've talked about before. One of my favorite subjects in the paranormal world are what is referred to as ghost lights. Ghost lights are things like the Brown Mountain Lights. I think it's in South Carolina. The Marfa Lights in Southwest Texas. The Paulding Light up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Just different strange lights that people see. A lot of times very, very lonely areas that these things are seen in. The one I want to talk about is located here in Texas. And one reason I'm bringing it up is because I have a ghost light in my hometown of Lexington. Stories only go back to about the 70s as far as I can tell. I believe I've seen it, but hearing other people describe what they saw, it doesn't match, but it could still be the same thing. Anyway, a lot of people use the classic description or classic explanations that, oh, you're seeing car headlights from a distance. You're ever seeing, farmyard lights from a distance, with the wind blowing and the trees moving and it goes in and out, I don't know what I saw. I don't know what it is. I don't know what others have seen. But this light is up in Saratoga, Texas. It's located in the big thicket of it's not Southeast Texas, it's East Texas, where the folks still talk very, very Dixie Southern over there. And they talk like that. I had an English professor at my junior college who talked like this. She talked with the deep Southern Belle accent. She was from East Texas. It's a beautiful accent as far as I'm concerned. Well, the Big Thicket is a very heavy pine forest, and it's got strange stories about it, strange situations. One of the things that a lot of these lights have, this is also known as the Ghost Road of Saratoga, the Saratoga Light, or the Bragg Light by local residents. It's located on a dirt road, and it's a light that may appear and disappear at random during the dark of night without explanation. As usual, there are different beliefs and stories as far as what the ghostly light could be, such as it could be swamp gas because it's in the forest, and there are swampy areas in the forest. Similar natural occurrences, release of maybe methane, coming up and combusting. The most popular story, though, surrounding this legend and several others of this type, of this particular type, like the Bragg Road type, are that it's a railroad worker who was decapitated in a railway accident. And the light is that of his lantern as his ghost searches endlessly for his head. Now, I have to say that when you have a similarly repeated story in various locations, chances are it's because someone heard it and applied it to what they're seeing and said, well, this is what we're going to say it is. A good case in point of that is the local San Antonio legend of the haunted railroad tracks, where supposedly a bus full of school kids was killed when a train hit them on a crossroads because the bus stalled out. Now, if you take your car over to that area and let your car roll up onto the tracks, something will push you over the tracks and off of them to safety. The story goes that if you put baby powder on the back of your car, you'll get little handprints. Well, number one, there was never a train bus accident at that location in San Antonio. There were no school kids killed at that location in San Antonio. The thing is a gravity hill because when you come off of the main road coming up to the railroad tracks, you drop off the main road down at an angle, and if you put your brakes on, hold your car, and then put it in neutral and let off the brakes, you are at enough of an angle that it will carry your car down, up, and over the tracks and around the corner onto the next road. The supposed children's handprints in the powder on the back of the car is because you touch the back of your car a lot. If you get into your trunk, you touch the back of your car. And your handprints leave oil. And if you go to the car wash, it doesn't usually wash the oil off. So if you go wash your car and go out and put baby powder on the back, it's still going to pick up on that grease and that oil that's off your fingers and hands. Anyway, the actual story of the bus accident with the train happened in Utah in the 1930s. And yes, there were kids killed, and it was a sad situation, but it was reported so widely across the United States, and somehow it got hooked up in San Antonio's psyche that it happened here. So let's just tell the story. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I don't care what anybody from San Antonio says. Oh, we go out there every Halloween. Well, it's a neat place to go because it's an interesting situation, but it's not haunted. Anyway, two other phenomena are the Paulding Light in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, as I said, and the Mako Light in southeastern North Carolina. Coincidentally, as I said, the same story of a headless railroad conductor is also offered as the explanation for these mysterious lights. Well, I don't know what to tell you. It's just one of those things. It's like the ghostly hitchhiker. You know, you see a girl walking along the side of the road, you pick her up, she says, "Can you take me to my house?" When you get to the house and look around, she's not in the car anymore. And you go up to the house, knock on the door, and say, "I was delivering a girl here," and it's an elderly lady, and she says, "Yeah, it was my daughter who died 50 years ago coming home from a dance," you know, that kind of thing. Saratoga is located between Beaumont, which is near the border with Louisiana, and Livingston, which is in northeastern Texas. And Livingston is a pretty nice place. It's approximately 16 miles west of Kuntze, Texas. That's Kountze, Texas. Kuntze, Texas. And the dirt road runs north-south, starting at the south end at a bend on Farm to Market 787. And it's 1.7 miles north of the intersection of 787 and 770. You don't need to know all this, but I'm telling you anyway. And it's near Saratoga, and it ends at the north end at Farm to Market 1293 near the ghost town of Bragg Station, which was a railroad stop. The cause of the light has not been established because for whatever reason, you approach these lights and they get away from you or disappear. It's not been established, but one common explanation is that the light is a result of car lights from a nearby highway. However, and this is a usual part of the story, the light is usually seen when facing north, and the highway can only be seen when facing south. Now, nature is strange. Light can reflect in strange ways. What is it called? A fata morgana, when you see something floating over the ocean and it's not really there. It's over the horizon, but it's reflected on the heat wavers over the water, something like that. In 1902, to continue with the story, in 1902, Gulf, Colorado, and Santa Fe Railway hacked a survey line from Bragg to Saratoga, bought the right-of-way, and opened the big thicket forest with the railroad. And the Saratoga train began its daily trips to Beaumont, carrying people, cattle, oil, and logs. When the area's oil booms and virgin pine gave out, road crews pulled up the rails in 1934. So you got a 32-year lifespan of this railway, and there's not even evidence of a railway out there except for where they cut through the forest. And the right-of-way was purchased by the county, and the tram road became a county road. So that would tell us that there's no longer a railroad railroad track there, as apparently is with other places like this that were related to railway areas. What are ghost lights? I don't know. There are some that are very sedate in what they do, how they act when you look at them. They just kind of hang there and maybe move around a little bit. Some, like the Marfa lights and the Brown Mountain lights, move around and cavort like they're playing, like maybe, fireflies do. I don't know. I do not know what they are. I do know they exist because I have seen one. It's kind of like my belief in UFOs. I believe in UFOs because I have seen classic UFOs. Have I seen aliens? No. I've not seen little green or gray guys with big eyes. I have not seen little ETs walking around eating Reese's Pieces. So my belief in aliens is very, very, very limited. I have some beliefs and some stories that are related to aliens, could be aliens, but it's small. Anyway, that's what I have for you this week, talking about black-eyed kids and ghost lights. Not together, but, two different stories. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll be back for more Terry's Mysterious Moments. Have a good week, y'all, and be safe. If you're in the South or anywhere in the United States, enjoy the heat. I know I'm getting all nice and toasty, ready for October, November. Anyway, y'all have a good week, folks, and it's good to be back, good to be on the air, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.